Good afternoon, and welcome to Sadlier's webinar on Vocabulary Workshop Interactive Edition. My name is Janine Ferrara, and I'm the Director of Product Management for all of Sadlier's digital and math products. Today we're going to talk about Sadlier's Vocabulary Workshop Interactive Edition. But before we begin, I should let you know that you can hear me, but I cannot hear you. All your audio, your microphone is on mute. So should you have any questions throughout the presentation, please type your question in the chat box in your GoToWebinar control panel, and I will address them at the end of the presentation. So again, thank you for joining us today on Sadlier's Vocabulary Workshop Interactive Edition. So let's begin. The Vocabulary Workshop Interactive Edition is a web-based version of the print Vocabulary Workshop program with all digital resources available at point of use. Plus, it includes a robust management system where teachers can assign students assignments to complete online. Their answers are automatically scored when applicable and recorded for reporting purposes. So I am logged in right now as a teacher. And once you log in as a teacher, you're taken to your bookshelf. Right now, you're seeing Vocabulary Workshop levels read through level H, which is grades 1 through 12 plus. And you'll see I have access to all the content for grades 1 through 12. Vocabulary Workshop is available for purchase as a site license, which means you have access to all grade levels, grades 1 through 12. You have access to content from all grade levels. And it's also available as a classroom license, meaning that you will have access to one particular grade level for up to 35 students. So let's take a look at the interior, the interface of Vocabulary Workshop. Let's log into level E. And once you're taken to level E, you are taken to the table of contents you'll see here on the left-hand side. This left-hand navigation follows the exact sequence as the print edition. And here you'll see I'm in Unit 1, and all the material available in the Vocabulary Workshop program is organized into these categories: instruction, student practice, custom assessments, student resources, and teacher resources. And I'll take you through each and every one of them. So let's begin with instruction. An effective vocabulary program uses a group of methods to teach vocabulary. And Vocabulary Workshop uses a blend of contextual and definitional activities. And the first activity is the unit passage, and I'm going to click on the unit passage to show you that. And the passages are high-interest essays in a variety of genres that give practice with close reading of nonfiction text. I'm just going to come up here and use my teacher toolbar for a second and increase the point size, and that's really a nice option that we have with the interactive edition. So again, as I said, the passages are high interest essays, and they have at least 15 of the 20 unit words are featured in the passage. And the reading the passages helps students master vocabulary and context. And these passages also support the Common Core State Standards for reading literature and informational text. So as I mentioned before, you have this teacher toolbar up at the top right-hand corner. And here's where you can use this to go into full screen mode should you want to project the passage up in the front of the board and review it as a group. You have the ability to change the point size from small, medium, and large. You also have an ink pen where you can actually choose your color and come in and call attention to certain parts of the passage, should it be the vocabulary words or context clues to help students understand the meaning of the word. And then every assignment is assignable and every assignment is printable. So this is your teacher toolbar. So let me go back out, and that was the unit passages. The next is the definitions. And at each level, a time-proven list of 300 words that are frequently found on standardized tests or organized within the 15 units with 20 words. If I scroll down here, you'll see the 20 words, with 20 words per unit. And the vocabulary words are Tier 2 words that are often show up in trade books or textbooks. And let me come back up here. Again, I'm entered as a teacher. I'm logged in as a teacher, and I'm going to call your attention to the teacher toolbar at the top right-hand corner of the screen. Again, I can go into full screen mode. I could change the font, the point size of the text to make it larger. I can come in here and again use my ink pen. I can then come in here, and this is one thing I do like is we have a single item mode. And if you click single item mode, what this does is allows you to focus on one particular definition at a time. And this helps students who sometimes feel overwhelmed with the 20 words on a particular page. So you can actually go into full screen mode, project this in the front of your classroom, and scroll through the questions. And then the iWords, our iWords audio program, is available at point of use. And here's where students can hear the correct pronunciation of the word, listen to its definition and its use in an example sentence. And then I can come back and I can actually go back into multiple items and again, it'll stay in my large point size. So I could scroll back, I could toggle back and forth, I should say, from single item mode to multiple items. This little key here allows me to show the answers in place, or print or project an answer key. And know that again, these assignments are assignable, and I will take you through that in a few minutes to show you how to assign an assignment, and every assignment is printable. So that's the instruction. Again, those are your contextual and definitional activities. Under student practice, so words are reviewed in several different contexts to help lead students to mastery, and each activity has a purpose. So for example, choosing the right word. Choosing the right word is a scaffolded activity which asks students to choose the word that better completes the sentence rather than from a complete word list. So that's the scaffolding there. And you'll see, again, your teacher toolbar, all these tools are available to you for each assignment. And then you have your synonyms and antonyms. And with synonyms and antonyms, students select words from the unit that is most similar or opposite in meaning. And one-word definitions help students accelerate their vocabulary. And you'll see the different activities that we offer. And one of the new activities is writing words in action feature. And this feature provides students with 2 writing prompts. And the first writing prompt asks students to respond to a question about the opening passage. So they have to remember what they read in the opening passage and write about the passage and their newly acquired vocabulary. And the second prompt is one typically found on standardized tests. And I must identify and just let you know that these exercises, because they're writing exercises, must be manually scored. But again, you do have your same teacher toolbar at the top of your screen here that you could use to, again, project in full screen mode, change the font, annotate with your ink pen, go into single item mode should you choose. And the vocabulary in context, literary text, this again is a new feature. And here students answer questions based on excerpts from recognized literature. Again, this helps students understand the meaning of the vocabulary words. And again, I'm going to point out your teacher toolbar at the top. And so those are your student practice activities. Again, each activity there's a purpose for each activity. Let's go into custom assessments. Here's where you'll be able to build your own assessments. So when I click on Build an Assessment, I'm taken to the Build an Assessment feature. And to build an assessment, if I have a individual classroom license, I have access to content from that particular grade level and all the units within that grade level. Should you have a site license, you have access to build content from all grade levels. So you could build content from all grade levels in grades 2 through 12. We have items in different categories and question types for grades 2 through 12. So for example, I know sometimes when I visit classrooms, some of my teachers tell me that their students are just not ready for 20 words per unit, so they'd like to customize a definitions worksheet or assignment for them for maybe 10 or 15 words. So you can do just that. You could choose to show your items down here by question or by word. I'm going to choose by word. I'm going to ask for all question types, but I'm only going to choose those for definitions. And then I'm going to apply the filter. And before I apply the filter, just take a look at the bottom left here. These are all the available questions. And if I was to expand all the plus signs, and let me just scroll down here so you could see, you'll see all the different items that are available. But I'm going to come up here and I'm going to apply the filter because that's a little too overwhelming for me. I only want to see the definitions. So now I'm able to see the vocabulary words that I want to build a definitions page for. So I'm going to choose I'm going to name my test, and then maybe I'll call this training test. And it's very easy to build a test. You would take your word and you drag and drop the word over into your selected questions area. And should you need to view or preview your assessment before you save it, you click preview and you could see what your assessment will look like. Should you want to go back and edit your test, it's very easy to do. I can actually come in and say, well, maybe I do not want that word, or I can add new words to my assessment, my definitions test. And I can also say, well, maybe I want to challenge my students and I want to have definitions from Unit 2, and maybe I'm going to add maybe just 2 words from Unit 2 as my challenge words. And then I can come in again and preview my test, and then I'm going to click Save. And once I click Save, my test now is available under my Custom Assessment tab. You'll see my training test is here. And I have the ability now to go in and assign that assignment to students, and that's that little assignment icon. And then you'll have available all your program assessments. These are your print program assessments that come with the purchase of the program. Again, these are all assignable, and you are able to manipulate, or I should say annotate the assignment with the teacher toolbar at the top of the page. And again, every assignment is assignable and printable. And now you have your student resources. So your student resources, there's research out there by Marzano who shows that playing games, playing games with words helps students build their word knowledge. So interactive games and the iWords audio program help students build their word knowledge. And what's nice about the student resources is that they're at point of use. So all these resources are available for Level E Unit 1. So I can click on my flashcards. I can go into full screen mode should I need to project this in the front of the class, and I can play this as a full group activity. And then you also have your iWords program, and I can come into the iWords program and listen to the audio. And I think I have my volume down.
Adulterate is a verb meaning to make worse.
And again, your iWords is at point of use. And those are your student resources. And then you have your teacher resources, which are the answers to the practice pages and the interactive quizzes. So as I mentioned earlier, all the content in the Vocabulary Workshop program is available at point of use under these categories: instruction, student practice, custom assessments, student resources, and teacher resources. So now let's come in and assign an assignment to our students, now that I've taken you through how the content of the program is organized. So I'm just going to randomly pick a unit, and let's come in and assign the definitions page. So there are different ways that you can assign an assignment. I can actually click on the assignment and come up and click on my assignment icon. Or from the list here, I can actually click on this assignment icon. So I click on my assignment icon. I'm going to choose my class. I'm going to choose my English 101 class. And what I didn't mention before is that when you log in to Vocabulary Workshop Interactive Edition, you will enter your student roster. And when you enter your student roster and identify your classes, you're able to create subgroups within your class. So say you have some students who are struggling and need additional support, you can create assignments based on those specific subgroups, or say you have some students who are ready for a challenge. You can, again, create a subgroup within a class. So that's important to note as well. And know that when you do import your roster, you can bulk upload your student class, your student roster with a CSV file. So you do not have to do it manually. So I'm going to assign my Unit 8 definitions test, but know that I can come in and I can actually assign all the assignments within Unit 8, or just the instruction or the student practice, which is nice. It saves time. I can assign assignments as a group. And then I have the ability to identify a start and end date, and know that the default end date is 7 days from the start date, but you have the option to modify both. And then I always encourage our teachers to scramble questions. By scrambling questions, you're adding that another level of security for students taking that test, meaning no two students will have the same order of questions. And if the questions are multiple choice, then the distractors will also be scrambled. The multiple choice, the distractors will be scrambled as well. So my answer choice A on my test may be your B on your test. So that's nice to know. And then, as I mentioned before, you can assign this assignment to all your students by clicking this little box here up in the top left-hand corner. Or I can come in and I could assign these to a select group or within my subgroup. So I'm going to assign this assignment to all my students and click Save. And now that assignment has been given to my students. And I'm going to now come up and log out as a teacher, and I'm going to log in as a student so you can see the student interface. And once I log in as a student, you will see my Unit 8 definitions, which I just assigned to Bailey. And what Bailey's able to do is to come in, and when she logs in, this is her home page. This is the student home page. And what the student will see is to the left here, these are all the free digital resources that come with the purchase of the program. So if I'm in level H, I can come down, I'm sorry, I think I was in level E. If I'm in level E, I'll click on level E, and you'll see all the free resources for each unit. And these are the resources, if you recall, the exact same view as we looked at when we were logged in as a teacher. The students have the same view, and the students are able to log in and access the digital resources at point of use. And so that's the left pane here. The top right-hand corner, this is where students are able to access their assignments. It identifies their due date and their status. So if I click on Unit 8, I'm able to come in, and just as I was able to enlarge the font, so was the student. And then audio directions are available, as well as iWords at point of use. So students would come into the exercise and complete the exercise. And I will point out that spelling does count. So if a word is spelled incorrectly, the system will mark it wrong. So it's important for students to actually read the sentence to make sure that one, that they're using the correct form of the word, as well as that they're spelling it correctly. So students also have the option to scroll. If I scroll down, save their assignment and come back at a later time to finish that. So I want to exit and come back and complete that at a later date, and now you'll see that that assignment now is in progress. If I come back to my home screen, you'll see I have graded assignments here. Here's where students can actually log in and actually access their completed assignments. They can review their assignments, their score, and they could see which exercises they they answered correctly and which they answered incorrectly. Know that students will not be able to correct their mistakes. Should you want students to correct their mistakes, you would have to reassign that assignment to students. So we've gone over the digital resources for students, their assignments, their graded assignments. One other thing I'd like to point out is there is an internal messaging system with Vocabulary Workshop Interactive Edition, and I know certain schools do not, students don't have emails. And so this does not require an email. Students, should they have any questions or concerns for the teacher, they're able to come in and compose a message to their teacher and send a message to their teacher regarding their assignment. Again, it's an internal messaging system where students and teachers can communicate with one another, and it is not reliant on email. And before I log out as a teacher, as a student, I should point out that the parent interface is the same. The parent interface, when a parent logs in, because I think I did fail to mention this, that there are 4 different user types. There's administrators, teachers, students, and parents. And so when a parent logs into his or her daughter or child's account, I should say, this is the view. The parent has the exact same view as the student, but the only difference is the parent does not have access to complete the assignment. So it's nice that the parents are able to monitor their child's progress. So I'm going to log back in as a teacher. And again, you see that I'm taken to my dashboard, and these are all the products that I have access to. Again, I have access to a site license, so I have access to all grade levels, 1 through 12. And I'm going to click on the teacher dashboard here. And what the teacher dashboard is at a glance, the teacher can see if it gives a snapshot of what's going on in his or her class. If there are any student alerts or class alerts, the teacher is able to come in and set alert preferences. So should a student or a particular class fall below a proficiency level, an alert would be mentioned or identified here, so that you know that I have to go in and speak to a particular student, or maybe you need to reevaluate the lesson that you just taught because the class on their assignments have all scored below a certain proficiency level. Here's my assignments to grade. So remember when I was talking about the writing words in action feature? Any writing features need to be manually scored. So should I have an assignment that needs to be manually scored, I will have an alert there, and I will go into that assignment for those students to score that assignment, to grade that assignment in this area. And then here are my active assignments. I have 2 active assignments, and you could see that for my Unit 10 definitions, 1 student has completed the definitions, and for Unit 10, and here none of my students have completed the definitions. So again, their dashboard, it gives you a snapshot of how well of what really is happening in your class. And there are a variety of reports. You have reports from the class assessment reports, class proficiency, student scores, so on and so forth, and I'll take you through a couple of them. And the class assessment report provides you with a snapshot of the class as a whole on the entire program. So if I choose my data class and I apply my filter, I want to see how well my students are doing in grade 10, I can actually continue to drill down to see how well my students did in grade 10 on Unit 1 definitions. I can come in and I can view the assignment. So if you need to take a look at the assignment, I'm able to view the assignment. Or I can come in and actually drill down to see how well students did on the Unit 1 definitions. I can click on the report, and at a glance, I could see student scores. I could see how well they did. I know that maybe for item 12, most of my class, they didn't do so well, so I know I need to go back in and I need to review this word, intimidations. So I know that this is I can actually click on it and it'll tell me the word and how well students did. So at a glance, this is a nice report. I know how well my students did. So I know for item 17, 100% of my class understands what the word tentative means. So again, this is your class assessment report. It gives you a snapshot of the class as a whole. I can come into my class proficiency report, and this is a report by standard. And right now, what I'm applying the filter for is to see how well my students have done on the Common Core State Standard. So if I hover over the standard abbreviation, it identifies the standard, and then you'll be able to see where my students fall within the grade range here. And I failed to mention when I was in the class assessment report that every report is printable and can be exported. The student scores report is just that. It gives you the scores on all the assignments that the students have taken, and you could filter by a class or by a particular student, and you could see how well your students have done on the assignments that he or she has submitted. And then the next is your student trend, and I do not have much data in the student trend. And this report tells you how students do over an 8-week period, and it gives you I have to select the student here. So it gives you a visual on how well students have done over an 8-week period. And you'll see my students have done very well in week 6, but in the previous weeks they not so well. So this is, again, your student trend report and student tracking report. Your student tracking report is more like a student's audit report. And let me just apply the filter here. And the student audit report tracks what students have done from going in and out of an assignment. Oh, and I keep forgetting, I'm sorry, to choose a student. So it tells them at what time, what date and time the student viewed a graded assignment or entered an assignment, submitted assignment, and the IP address of where that assignment came from. So again, this is the Vocabulary Workshop Interactive Edition. I've walked you through the different components of the program. So when you're in a particular unit, how the material from Vocabulary Workshop is organized into these categories. I've showed you how easily it is to assign an assignment. I've taken you through the student interface as well as having them take an assignment. I've walked you through some of the reports that we do have. So with that, I'm going to open it up to any questions that you might have. So one of the questions is, again, how is Vocabulary Workshop Interactive Edition sold? And it is sold as a site license. And let me just go back to my bookshelf here. It's sold as a site license where you have access to grades 1 through 12, content from grades 1 through 12, and that's based on your building enrollment. So I know the lowest tiered enrollment is for up to 100 students. So for up to 100 students, the price is $995. Should you want to purchase it as for a classroom license, a classroom license is $299 for up to 35 students. And I will mention that I know we are running a special. If you were to purchase a classroom license or a site license, that you will receive 50% off the print edition. I know some schools are not ready to go full-fledged into a digital curriculum, and they're not ready to give up the print copies. So for those, they're ordering class sets, and you will receive 50% off the print edition should you choose to purchase a classroom license or a site license. And one other thing I will mention, and I'm going to type it in the chat box here, and I hope you are able to view it, sadly. I'd like to offer you a free 14-day trial to Vocabulary Workshop Interactive Edition. So if you were to go to www.sadlierschool.com/VWIE for Vocabulary Workshop Interactive Edition, you could register for a free 14-day trial for Vocabulary Workshop Interactive Edition. And it's nice because then you'll be able to see for yourself how powerful of a program the Vocabulary Workshop is. So again, it's www.sadlierschool.com/VWIE. And again, I want to be mindful of your time and thank you for this brief webinar on Vocabulary Workshop Interactive Edition. And should you require any additional information, please feel free to email us on our website. Thank you and have a great day.